broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers. Welcome back to another episode of The Flash, Season 1, Episode 19. Who is Harrison Wells? I can't even with this song right now. It's incredible. I'm your host, Roxy Striar. You guys can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar, alongside my two very talented, amazing co-hosts, Tauri Miller.
I am Jeff Daniels. You can find me at JeffDaniels1. That's where I tweet from.
That was so confusing.
You're going to make fun of me and use my real
Jeff
name.
Masters, right? I was like, who's Daniels?
Oh, sorry. That was the first name that came to my mind. I'm Jeff Masters. You can find me on Twitter at JeffMasters1.
What would that make you?
I'm Tauri Miller. You can find me at Tauri Miller.
I was, you just threw off our whole juju. You guys made fun of me because I wanted to start the show by holding your guys' hand so I could pretend to be part of you and like turn into you like every man and like Whitney Houston, like every woman kind of thing.
I was yes-anding your concept, and then I ruined everything.
And then, I'm feeling really put off by you guys right now, and I'm not feeling the love.
I'm really sorry.
I'm just kidding. You guys are absolutely amazing. And again, tonight was another amazing episode of The Flash. I wish Ashley Daniels, that's what you were doing.
Yes.
You were combining Jeff and Ashley. There we go.
Oh, our marriage.
I get it.
You ruined the surprise, Tauri.
I couldn't decide which one I wanted to be.
You missed Ashley so much, and I miss her too. She will be back with us next week, though. In the meantime, we will try to be very high energy and positive, just like Ashley, for her sake, and talk about this episode, which was really freaking cool, and we got to learn a little bit more about who is Harrison Wells. I kind of felt like that was the background to the entire episode. He's so sneaky, and there are an unbelievable amount of layers to him, like an onion, like a stinky rotten onion.
A stinky onion. He's so clever, and yet Homies lives in a house of only windows.
Yeah.
So he gets into his house, he steps out of his wheelchair, takes his glasses off, does a hair flip, and is like walking around drinking scotch. Like, shut the windows, dude.
I know. It's very true. I want to make sure, though, you guys know at home where you can find us to talk to us about this kind of thing, about the windows and whatever you would like to discuss with us.
I only want to talk about windows tonight.
I get that. I understand that. You guys can find us everywhere at AfterBuzz TV, AfterBuzzTV.com, YouTube.com/AfterBuzzTV, where the fabulous Jonathan in the booth is actually looking out for your comments if you are with us live, because we are here, and hopefully we can get you guys involved in the conversation. Or, as always, you can use the hashtag ABTVFlash, where I'll be checking that on my phone, and on iTunes, and on SoundCloud. Wherever you are, give us that 5 stars, that thumbs up, and let us know what you are thinking. We love hearing what you guys have to say. For better or for worse, you guys are the most incredible fans with your comments on the show and whatnot, so we really appreciate it. We read every single thing, and you guys are amazing, so talk to us about Windows and stuff. You dig?
Yes,
Totally.
not the Microsoft kind.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Apple. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Now I've mentioned apples, onions, windows. We're all over the place. All right, so let's get into this, because we did learn a lot about Wells. It was a huge episode tonight in terms of getting everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
Everybody except for Iris, who is still not on our frickin' page.
But she's so close, dude. I feel it. It's
I know.
coming.
Yeah.
It's driving me insane. Why can't she be part of this team? I don't get it. I know we're trying to keep her safe, but I just want her in on the Scooby Gang.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? I mean, I get it. It's because we're trying to protect her.
Yeah.
And she's worth protecting.
You know what, though? Now that Eddie has confessed that he's working with the Flash,
right,
and she's getting like hot and sweaty, she's getting excited, that's 1 degree of separation from the Flash. She's gonna talk her way into like getting a meetup.
She is absolutely. And I just feel like the more things are opening up, the more we know about Wells and who is good and who is bad. We're gonna need a bigger team. It's kind of like what they did on Arrow. You know, you slowly have to bring people into the inner circle, because you're fighting against some pretty evil people, some pretty bad onions.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to keep up with it. I'm going to keep pushing through. All right, so let's talk about what it takes to convince Caitlin that Wells is not a good dude, because she is the last to get on board here. She is, Cisco, because he's been having these dreams, which are actually memories.
Yeah.
He's pretty quick to jump on, and Joe was already suspicious, and they've brought Eddie in, and he had no reason to believe otherwise. But Caitlin views Wells as a mentor. She's worked with him for so long, and he's done so many things to help her that she just can't. There's like a brain block there. What did you guys think about this? Were you kind of judgmental that she was so much like the last person to hold out, or were you thinking that it was good that she was so Team Wells?
I understood it. I mean, everyone else, and especially as an audience member, because we have all the knowledge at this point, or most of the knowledge, it's easy for us to go, yeah, Wells is evil. But for her, who hasn't been exposed to his dark side, hasn't seen any of the suspicious behavior he's been exhibiting, it's totally reasonable that she wouldn't believe it off the hand.
Right.
Yeah, I really liked her loyalty, too.
I did, too, I have to say.
Yeah, and explaining how close she was to Harrison, like, it makes total sense. You have a good friend, you have to hear like 9 things that are bad about them before you're like, maybe it's true.
Right. And like you said, the best thing that came of this is we know that Caitlin is loyal till the end. She really fights for people, and we need that loyalty on our team. Unfortunately, she was being loyal to the wrong person. But we know that Barry Allen's a good guy, so if she can just kind of bring that loyalty over. Not that she wasn't loyal to him, but this was kind of, there's 2 separate sides going on, and she didn't even realize that was true.
And I didn't think it was backstabbing. I just thought it was like, holy crap, this person who's a father figure in my life could be like the source of all evil in the world. I want to find out for myself.
Yeah, it's so interesting what it took to get her there, because I feel like you said, Tauri, watching this, he's been so suspicious, and there are so many reasons to question him. But I guess if I didn't know to look out for it, I would have no idea.
Yeah.
Like she says, he saved all of our lives so many times. He's done so many good things, which is what still confuses me about this villain. I know that his whole thing is to get Barry to be faster, but I don't know. I feel like he really is invested in these kids in a weird, twisted way. He does care about Caitlin. He does care about Cisco. I don't think you can convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I would equate it to them being like pets. Like, you care about your pets, but overall you don't view them on the same level that you're on. I mean, so you can care about them, but if it comes down to if you're in a burning building and it's you or them, I mean, there's a chance that you may choose yourself over your pets.
So let me ask you something. Do you feel as if Wells is currently in a burning building?
I mean, he's getting there.
Is this his burning building right now?
Right now, there's a smoke, and everyone's aware that the smoke is there, and he's just starting to smell it,
And yet, like, the future on the newspaper that we saw at the end has not changed yet. So,
Well, it changed, but then it went back.
It went back, and
Right.
like currently it's still like missing. Flash is missing, which is what he wants, or like wants to maintain. And yet, what's happening in theory has happened and still leads to that one point.
Right.
So it's like, does he use something up his sleeve, or like, where's that plan to it?
Well, he's done that. He's making sure it does stay to that one point. He wants that result. That's, he wants to keep it that way. That's been his whole thing. When it changed from that way, he worked so hard to get it back to be that way.
Right.
So I don't know. There is definitely more to it. There's something up his sleeve. There's more going on with him always. Of course, we didn't get everything, and I think this is a good point coming from Twitter. At Master_King_God says, I have more questions than answers after this episode of The Flash, which is totally true. What? Actually, is it totally true? I feel like I got some answers. I have so many questions, though. Do you guys think that we got more questions based on our answers?
Yeah, yes and no. I think that this is all going to be wrapped up, not nicely, but wrapped up next episode, it looks like. We'll get to predictions later with the preview.
Right.
But it kind of keeps like opening the door wider. So yes, I agree with you. More questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I felt like this is actually it was kind of a review before everything hits the fan. Because as again, as the audience, we know all
Why
the
do you say it like
information.
that?
I don't know, because I said it earlier, and I feel like it's pretentious to be like, well, as the audience, we know all the things.
We are the audience. It's fine.
But like, it's
people at home, us, we're all the fans, you know? We're the fans of the show.
But like the characters are still getting up to speed with what we currently know, and so this was their episode.
That's
to
why it's pretentious, because we know more than the characters do. Again, sorry. So go ahead. So we know more than they do.
So we know more than they do, and so this episode was their chance to get on our page before we jump into the next level of activities.
That's a great point.
Right. So do you feel like, other than Iris, they are all on the same page now?
Yes, especially with the second to last scene where Caitlin is finally on board.
I think Tauri's saying the characters within the show on the same page, but also compared to us as the audience. We're almost at the point, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That we're almost at the point where we know, where the characters know as much as we do.
Well,
Right.
what do we know that they do not know at this point, then? We know that I guess they know what happened that this isn't the Harrison Wells. They find out based on Joe and Cisco going to Starling City. The end result of that is that this body they find is Harrison Wells.
Yes.
So they almost know as much as we do there. We got to watch what he actually did and how that happened. So maybe they haven't put those pieces together, but I think they're totally caught up with us. They know that this isn't him.
The only two things that they don't know.
Oh, he was ready for that question.
Well, because I had time to think of it, because you were like super cool. Yes.
Interesting. I see your point there.
Well, yeah. So we know the name of Eobard Thawne. We know that because we got it in the previous timeline, whereas the other characters haven't had a chance to rediscover that. We also
They're just
know
really slow.
Yeah, pretty much. Gosh, get on our level, characters. And the second thing is that he came through on the day of Barry's mother's death, and that he fought a Flash from the future. Those are the two main things that we know that they don't.
Right. We haven't been seeing those flashbacks in a couple of episodes. Did we see flashbacks last week of that time period? I just love when we get to see back to the mom and bring it back to the roots of why Barry is the way he is and how he is getting so fast and going back in time. I think that I look forward to seeing more of that. We know it will come.
It's also interesting too that they keep we didn't see it the last episode, but they always show in like the recap in the very like early parts where they're like, everything is impossible, or I guess nothing is impossible. Everything's impossible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I like about those flashbacks is they always do something to expand it. Like another view, they slow it down. We see that there's two people in there, not just one. It's just cool to always learn something about something that we thought was like set in stone.
Right, especially because we can do that via mirror, which I'm still trying to set up the mirrors on my wall so that they can be cameras. That'd be pretty badass.
You know what kind of bugged me though about the getting Caitlin Snow on board that Harrison is Eobard Thawne? When Barry zooms her out to like the field and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Dude, like, he's my bro. Like, I gotta hear it face to face." That was a sum up of what happened.
Dude, he's my bro.
Dude, he's my bro, too.
Completely.
Yeah,
Verbatim.
he's my bro, Blue. And Grant, Barry, played by Grant, says, like, I won't be able to get my dad out of prison if you do this. I was just like, dude, the art of persuasion, like, make this about her. Like, if I'm right, my dad won't get out of prison. No, if I'm right, you will die because he's evil.
That's why he's so endearing, because he's not trying to play her. He's not trying to say, "Oh, this is about you. Let me make you think that this is about you," because it's not. We know this is about him and this is about his dad. And that's why she says, you know, that's kind of dirty for you to do, the fact that you did that. And I'm thinking, not really. That he's just being honest with you. He's being straight up. This is why you cannot do this, because this is how it affects me and I'm your friend. So sometimes it's got to be about me.
I guess I'm just used to like the hero character that he usually is. Like he's not a selfish person, and I wanted him to be like, this is about you. I'm saving you. I'm literally saving your life. Because if she had knocked on that door and said, this is what everyone thinks, what do you think? He would have said, I think you're dead and you can't tell my secret.
You think he would have murdered her?
Yeah.
He's murdered before.
Are you talking about Cisco in the alternate timeline?
That, but also like there was that like army general, I think,
right.
and then some guy at the desk who had paperwork in
I'm
the
sure a
early
bunch of
episode I
people.
forgot about. Yeah,
Right.
Like and also Harrison Wells, he actually murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, and by causing the car accident, he murdered Tess too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a murderer. I mean, there's no way around it, straight up. But he's also a lifesaver.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm having such a hard time labeling him as villain, because he is somebody who he's helped us out and he's saved our protagonist time after time. And I know he's doing it for himself.
Yeah.
But still, you know.
I mean, I don't have a problem labeling him villain, to be honest. Like, I think it's like fairly black and white. How in my mind,
Back home. Get him home.
However, it's interesting to see a quote-unquote villain working to make the hero as strong and powerful as he possibly can.
Right, it's a
Right.
different kind of villain.
Yeah.
I love seeing that. Okay, Jonathan, I think we have something coming in from the chat. What you got?
Yeah, from Joseph Boza, he wanted to ask, do you think Wells has multiple personality disorder and Eborn wants to take out Barry, not Wells?
So two-part thing.
Yeah.
Number one, do we think he has multiple personality disorder? Gosh, I think it's a fair question.
I do not.
You don't think it's a fair question?
I do not think that he has multiple personality disorder. I think that he is just like he's a sociopath. Like he doesn't. He is really good at acting and adapting and like figuring out what he needs to do in order to fit into the situation that he's in. Maybe it's psychopath. One of those two.
Right.
He's some form of path, socio or psycho. But like he is essentially just kind of playing the role really well, as opposed to being part Wells, part Eobard, and then those two fighting within him.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think he's playing the part well. He meaning Eber Thawne playing the part of Harrison Wells.
Yeah.
However, I kind of like this is like super like picky and like maybe slight, but I always feel like I want him to like fake it a little bit more. You know, like fake being nice. He's kind of doing this like twirling of mustache thing, playing this like villain. And I wonder if what would I know he's got a big ego, the character. But like, I wonder what would happen if he just was a little bit nicer and like friendlier to everybody and like made them his friends, and then they would trust him and they wouldn't have doubted him in the first place.
Right. Well, I want to flash back to that time, that transition period where he was not Harrison anymore and he was changing into being the Reverse Flash, and he takes over his body. Because tonight we see somebody try to take over somebody else's body, and they're caught in like, I don't know, half an hour,
Yeah.
42 minutes or something. How on earth is nobody going to notice? He doesn't know who anybody is. He doesn't know anybody's name. He doesn't know all the information that he knew as that person. Really? That's going to get by everybody?
Right? Like even Tina, like it didn't get by Tina. She said he's a different person. But in my mind, like Tina
That's
is
true.
another brilliant scientist, almost at his level. She would be a great ally. Don't just be rude to her. Like take her in, like team up with her.
Just as a side note, I think it's interesting that you said almost at his level. Do we feel like she is below Wells, or that she wasn't as tech savvy?
I only said almost because Eber Thawne is like ruthless.
Oh, okay.
And I don't see her like killing
So
somebody
she
her
was
way.
she was at Wells level,
I
but she's
believe
not
so,
at
but
Reverse
Eobard,
Flashes.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, not many people can be. Not many. It's just the whole thing is very interesting. The comparisons too tonight. We've got Everyman and we've got Wells, and Wells essentially kind of did what it is that Everyman is constantly doing.
Right. Well, I would say that Wells had the added bonus of knowing the history of Harrison Wells.
That's
So-
true. You got to study him a little.
Yeah, so he basically Daniel Day-Lewis did. So he like studied his history, studied everything
Brilliant.
that he did, and then is now method acting who Harrison Wells is.
He's peeling back the layers of the onion. I won't let it go. It's coming full circle. It's coming full circle. I agree with that. I think that he did. We saw him watching them on the beach and kind of stalking him a little bit in a good way. Stalking
Yes,
in a good way.
of course.
Let's talk a little bit about Starling City, though. So we go over there tonight. I always love that because I'm an Arrow fan, and I love seeing these characters cross.
You know what? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but speaking about that, I think it's so unbelievably magical when TV shows intercross and you see the characters coming in and out, and I've always wanted that, like all my life watching TV, and I'm getting that.
You wanted what? You wanted that cross?
I wanted the crossover. Like when like Buffy needed help, I wanted like someone to swoop in from like the Power Rangers. Bad examples, but you know what I mean.
Angel.
And
He
Angel.
wanted them to come from Angel.
I totally know what you mean, and this happens to me because I watch so many shows. I'm sitting here on this, and I'm like, ooh, well, maybe we should just get Vampire Diaries in to give some of the blood so that they can heal
Yeah.
them. It doesn't work like that totally, but when you can do it on these two shows, it's awesome.
I think it's the
Yeah.
coolest thing ever, but are you guys like getting tired of it? Is it like a shtick to you? Because to me, it's not.
No, I definitely, for me, it just makes me really excited, and it makes me even more excited because Arrow airs on Wednesdays, and I'm like, ooh, gotta watch that episode, see how this interaction affected that show.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool. We'll see how it keeps up, though. You know, this is just the first season of them doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it interesting as someone who watches both shows. I think that if I only watched Arrow or I only watched The Flash, it would be kind of, I wouldn't say tedious, but it would, because I would feel like I'm constantly missing out on something.
Gotcha.
Do you feel that way?
No, I don't, because I like know enough about Arrow per se.
Yeah.
Right.
But I wonder, like, if you're watching just Arrow, if the Canary comes in, it's like, look, I have a new choker collar that makes sound. I got it
that's so
from
cool.
Cisco, and I wonder if people would not be into it.
No, I love
Right.
that. It's like when Barry got the mask from
For Oliver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. I think we have another chat roll from Jonathan.
Yeah, from Daquan Jenkins.
Brilliant pronunciation.
Since there is actual proof that metahumans exist, do you think Henry will finally get out of jail? They will know young Barry told the truth.
That's a really interesting point. However, the Henry situation was a little different. I don't think anybody was pretending to be him. So, just because this one character, Everyman, exists, doesn't mean they have accepted that metahumans exist.
Right.
But I think that what he's saying is that now that the chief is clued into this, they can like stretch a little bit farther to say that, oh my God, baby Barry was right. There was flashing lights.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Tauri?
I mean, I think it opens that door to have them consider it, but they don't have empirical proof that a speedster exists other than the Flash, and at the moment they see the Flash as a good guy. I mean, maybe if the Flash at some point were to come out and go, I killed Barry's mother, and then they'd be like, oh, he's a speedster.
Right.
Baby Barry said that there was a speedster. Maybe you can be retried, but short of that, I think they would need to get I guess Reverse Flash in there with a full confession. Otherwise, there's no real prosecutable proof.
It's a really good question, though. I wonder how that will affect now that more people are in the loop.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like cracking like just like one layer off the onion.
Yeah,
Until we get to
absolutely.
the center of it. I wonder too, just like with the crossovers.
Yeah.
I wonder like. I know the actors on both casts kind of like love it. It's like these like brother sister shows as of now, from what they've said. But I wonder like that's a lot more work for them.
Oh, so
You know,
much more
these
work.
series regulars, and they're like, oh, I have another day. I have to go and work now.
I think they're excited for it, though, because I know that they all shoot so close and their trailers are next to each other and whatnot,
Yeah.
and they like each other a lot. The cast seem to be friendly with one another. So I think it's exciting. Like, ooh, I get to pop into this because actors love their job. Yes, it is a lot of work, but at the end of the day, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
I also don't know any other shows that are like this interconnected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cool thing.
Yeah, I know like by design too, they created that.
On that note, this is coming from Twitter from @GeoDude96 says, I love how Joe and Quentin gave each other the perfect advice without realizing it. So the two dads kind of help each other out, and knowing what I know about Arrow and knowing what I know about Flash, I just felt like that was so great to watch these two dads that even though they're in different situations are really in similar situations with daughters that they care about and that they want to protect and that they love, and it was so fascinating to watch them interact and help each other out without even knowing. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. If I was on the show, that's what I would try to say to you to help you out, and you should make good with your daughter Laurel because I don't want to see you guys fighting anymore. Boo
Yeah.
hoo hoo. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
I agree that they gave each other great advice. And I just love the Starling City scenes in general. Cisco with Laurel, really cool. She's the Black Canary, and he loves her because it's like a celebrity in his mind.
Yeah. I love how he was fangirling out over her.
Yeah, completely, totally geeking out. The
Yeah.
way that if Black Canary existed in this world, which I'm not saying she doesn't, but if she did, and I met her, I'd be like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So it's like going on Hollywood Boulevard and taking pictures with people in costumes. And then he does that. He takes a picture, and she lets him keep it, which is freaking awesome.
That's so funny.
In exchange, he helps her out with something she needs, and I'm sure then we'll see that device, which you could talk a little more about, Tauri, because you're our resident expert here.
Yes, he creates the Canary Cry, because Canary traditionally has the ability to send out like supersonic waves as she like screams, and so they found a way to make that
lovely.
possible. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It takes out a bunch of thugs real easy, real quick.
I'm really excited to see her use that on Arrow. So I did think this was a really great way to incorporate it, because why wouldn't these two pretty close cities use each other and help each other, and the police departments and whatnot? In real life, they would have some sort of crossover like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that Cisco's becoming like the go-to guy for this kind of technology.
Because he's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I'm loving his character more and more. And as time goes on, since we saw the episode where he died, I'm realizing how completely devastated I would have been if that was the end of him on the show.
Yeah.
That would have just been awful, because he's like the comic relief and also such a great guy and wicked freaking smart.
And
That's what
who
he
would
said.
name the villains?
Well,
He wasn't there today to name him.
yeah, but
Caitlin.
Caitlin, she did a pretty good job. We'll get to that in a
She
second.
needs to back down.
That's true. Back off.
Back off. Cisco's not dead.
Before we talk more about that, though, I want to get to another chat roll question or comment.
All right, got one from Mark Murphy.
Hi, Mark.
They want to know, do you guys think with Wells' secret out, Team Flash will lock up Wells in the pipeline, and do you think Cisco will become Vibe this season?
So, two-part question. Number one, do we think they'll put Wells in the pipeline? Wouldn't that be hysterical if he has to go right where he's been putting people?
I've not thought about that, but I love that.
That would be amazing. Amazing. What do you think, Tari?
Well, you guys got it.
Onion.
I would say that would be really interesting. I feel like I'm kind of spoiled, so I won't comment anymore.
Sure.
But they're like based on previews and things that they've released online. I think it's a possibility.
Cool. And the other one is, do we think that he'll become Vibe this season? I definitely think within the next couple seasons, we will see some Vibe action going
Right.
on.
I do not think it'll happen this season.
Well, someone on Twitter after the last show basically mentioned that him sensing the previous timeline is kind of a nod to his powers, because Vibe is able to sense other dimensions. And so that maybe is the first inkling of his powers.
That's really interesting. Oh, I'm so glad you shared that. And whoever on Twitter shared that and you stole it and made it your own. It was good.
Yeah.
I
Tweet
love
at me
that.
and I'll shout you out next episode.
Because I was wondering, how does he know, but Joe doesn't have any of these flashbacks or not flashbacks, but memories.
But also, like, I love that it's because of his powers, or like deep down, but like no one else had anything that traumatic happen.
That's
Right.
true. Joe's was pretty freaking traumatic. Yeah, he didn't die, so nothing's that traumatic. But Joe's was pretty big. Maybe
Yeah.
it is his
Yeah.
powers creeping through. That would be really, really interesting. So we've talked a lot about the fact that we want to get them on the same page. And then by the end of this episode, we really do, because we're all sitting there, and Cisco, being the brilliant guy he is, he's clicking, going through the stuff. He's like, what is this in the building that I don't know? I'm supposed to know everything. And so they all go, and Wells, what kind of moron are you that this isn't just your hand that can push through this, but it's anybody's? And Barry pushes through, and lo and behold, there they see the article and the whole layer of Gideon's place and whatever you want to call it. Oh my gosh, he's been outed.
Yeah.
He's been made. The costume and everything. It's all there. And Caitlin at this point is like, yeah, I can't really deny it. Yeah, he probably, maybe at some point, was the man. Yeah, like, what's she supposed to say then?
Yeah.
That was a really unbelievable sequence.
It was also like the first tangible proof that Barry got. Everything was like arrows pointing, and they were massive arrows, you know?
like on the boards that he has.
Yeah, and they made sense, but this is like, oh, he's got a suit hidden under his bed. I think we can't ignore it.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I love that they do, Flash comes up, they do the logo, and then they always do that maybe 2-minute piece afterward. And those 2-minute pieces I find are the most incredible, important ones of the episode. They really, blow my mind every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I make everybody go silent for those. Not that we're not silent.
Not that we're
the whole
not,
time.
yeah.
Well, it's just because I ask you guys so many freaking questions. I'm like the most annoying person to watch with. I'm like, Jeff, did you get that because of the arrow? Tori, what's going on here? Does everybody? And you're like, yes, Roxy, we.
Totally fine.
Yeah. But anyway, it just enhances the show to watch with you guys because I love you so much, and it enhances the show to talk to you guys because you're the best in the entire world. Let's talk about, because we talked a lot about who is Harrison Wells, which is fitting because it's the name of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, were you gonna? Okay.
I was going to answer it as the now exhumed body in Barry's office.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
Didn't see that coming.
That was a thing that happened because when my coffee starts to float, I really start looking for dead bodies. But I'm just killing it with the jokes tonight. On this, yeah, absolutely. But so that's going on, and then we've also, of course, got our big bad of the week, our monster of the week, our everyman, or every woman. And this was a really interesting interesting character. I feel like everything I say about the show is really interesting, but it is.
It is.
It's the truth. A lot of it's really interesting.
It's a good show.
It's an incredible show, and I was not seeing this coming. That he was going to start taking on, and maybe I should have. That he was going to start taking on our favorite characters' personas. He jumped into Iris. He jumped into Caitlin. He jumped into Eddie and almost got Eddie thrown in jail. He really did. He jumped into Barry.
Mm-hmm.
He did a number on me. It was really cool to watch as he took down all of our characters.
I also loved the scenes where it was every man as Barry, just figuring things out.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know you, of
You.
course. Hey, buddy. And just seeing him
Hey.
observing Star Labs, which is amazing, and being amazed by it. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was so cool. I love those scenes.
Yeah, I have to throw this out there because this is coming from Twitter at the Dabadon. Says, I'm glad they didn't go with every man's actual comic powers, period, cannibalism, period.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Tauri.
I mean, I made the joke while we were watching that his name is Hannibal Bates.
Really great name to name your kid,
Right.
I'm thinking about that. My firstborn son, Hannibal.
I've known some pretty sweet Hannibals, actually.
It's a crazy name.
But I think that would have been interesting because, traditionally he has to ingest a piece of the person in order to turn into them. I mean, it doesn't have to be all of them. It could be a piece of hair or a fingernail or something. But
Or an arm.
Yeah. But the character is so kind of bat-ass crazy that he's I like the taste. So he will actively eat more than he needs to.
That is completely disgusting and bizarre, and I think I'm also glad that we didn't go down that path.
Yeah.
Sounds like an HBO show.
Yeah.
Okay, another question or comment from the chat.
All right, I'm going to do the last one, and it's actually quite a few people asked this. They want to know if you guys think Joe will die.
By the end of the season, I'm guessing is what they're talking about, because everybody dies in life. It's just inevitable.
Not characters. They live on in our hearts.
That is true. That is really true. We've predicted a lot. We talked about. We threw this question out to you guys a couple weeks ago. It is a trend that at the end of the first season, one of the major character goes. If that happens on the show, who would it be? Maybe Joe.
Yeah.
I think it'll be, if it's someone, I think it's going to be Joe. That being said, I really don't think they're going to kill Joe off this season.
Is that you don't think or you don't want?
I don't think, this is potentially spoilerly, but it's not a spoiler.
All right. Okay.
I was listening to an interview today with Jesse L. Martin on Aisha Tyler's podcast, Girl on Guy, and he was talking about the show, and he revealed things about working with a CGI gorilla, which was we know Grodd's coming up, that's fine. But then he was just talking about loving it so much, and he was being so genuine and saying that now that he's doing the show and working with this cast, he just would love to do this for the the next like few years. And he's like so excited by that because initially he was like, I don't know, like I would think it sounds fun, but do I want to commit? And now that he has committed, he's like so happy to keep going. And maybe he was like saying that to throw us off, but like just hearing him say that like makes me think not.
I would agree. However, you know, there was a big death, and I'll, just in case anybody hasn't seen Arrow, I'll try to keep it quiet, but there was a big death in the first season of Arrow, and that character has come back in flashbacks and in different ways, so there is more than one way to see a character on our screen. Unfortunately, they don't have to be alive, especially in a world with metahumans and all different things going on. But I would probably predict then, based off of that, and on the fact that people are loving his character so much, and there's still so much to explore with his relationship with Iris, and about the mom who was mentioned tonight, I think we're going to keep him.
Yeah. Though, I mean,
I'll keep him.
To the contrary, I would say that they've been putting a lot of breadcrumbs in that he kind of has to go at this point. I mean, we had the threat earlier with Iris. We had the scene later in this episode. And I think there was another incident where him and Wells have kind of squared off and been like, we both know what's happening here.
Right.
And I would say that I think that he kind of has to be, for lack of a better phrase, Obi-Wan. Like he is he's like a guiding character. But now I think for the next season, if Barry loses both people that he looks up to, then he'll have to stand on his own laurels.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, also, like, thinking as the writers, he is, like, the best choice.
Are you one of them?
I'm not.
I think you should be.
I would like that. I think he's the best, would be the best choice to, like, knock off to make us just, like, grow.
If you want to yank at my heartstrings,
Yes, especially since they've given us so many surprising and beautiful scenes between Barry and Joe this season.
Yeah, and also the same way that when Barry lost one of his parents and the other one gets put away, it's kind of like he lost both parents at once almost. Iris, this could be a really big growing situation for her. If she ends up losing her dad, this could be one of her major ways of being like, I'm part of the gang, guys. Like, here I am. This is what I'm here for.
And she really did a lot to prove herself this episode with the hacking and whatnot.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that, coming from Twitter, from Alex Snow, says all those scientists and cops saw the video of Eddie, of quote-unquote Eddie killing the cops, but none of them noticed he was left-handed except for Iris.
Yeah.
Look at her with her investigative skills.
It's like, yeah, do that more. That's great.
Yeah, girl, do that.
Yeah.
I was talking to the writers. Like, have her do that more.
Totally. And I thought that was awesome and that she did care so much. And, you know, it was making me like her relationship with Eddie a little more because I haven't been that invested in their relationship because I still kind of want her to end up with Barry.
Right.
But so I don't want my heart to get broken if I get too attached with her and somebody I don't think she's going to end up with. But at the same time, I did like seeing this. And I like that he was finally freaking honest with her.
Yeah.
Or at least somewhat honest, saying, I'm working with the Flash. He doesn't out him, but he says, I'm working with him.
Yeah.
That's my part in this.
Yeah, also, like, with the hacking and whatnot, I wanted someone to tell Joe West that, to be like, look at what a big asset she could be if she's on our side.
Right. Absolutely. I don't know if we've paid enough attention to Everyman in tonight's episode, though. Does anybody have comments on him as a villain in general, or how we felt just about the fight scenes, how many fight scenes took place, which was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
The choreography must have taken forever. It was really intense.
Yeah, it's now that you mentioned the choreography, like I can just imagine them shooting that scene where essentially in the middle of the scene they have, because he transforms into different people, so having them stop midway, someone else walks in, they start fighting, cut, someone else walks in. I thought that was I thought it was a great scene and a great use of someone's ability to transform.
Absolutely. It was cool to also see people like Daniel Panamaker and Candace like kicking butt.
Yeah.
Amazing. And now we have to remember he's in our frickin' pipeline, which means that he's not gone. He doesn't even know who he is.
Yeah, and until that last scene, I was like, oh my god, they didn't even cast an everyman. You know? It's only been other people.
Yeah. The eyes thing. The eyes thing.
He was legitimately creepy.
Oh my gosh.
I agree.
With the eyes thing, and
Kind of looked like he had a condom over his head, but
in
a creepy way.
With the skin covering the eyes, was that just them being like, he said he doesn't remember who he is, and so like he doesn't even remember what his eyes like color they are or like what they look like to do that.
I think he was just like ghost white and no features really, because he doesn't even remember what he looks like.
Crazy.
Well, I mean, speaking of windows, I mean, the eyes are the windows to the soul. And if you don't know who you are, I mean, it's hard to connect with that soul. So
That's beautiful.
Very, very inspirational. Something that we haven't talked about also, and I have to give a shout out to Snowberry fans out there, because they got to see a big old kiss tonight. No, it wasn't really Barry Allen, but yes, it was Grant kissing Danielle. So that's got to count for something for you guys out there.
And I love that they went there, because if you're like a 30-year-old man and you have like Barry Allen's hair, which is beautiful.
Because she was hot.
Yeah, looking at like Danielle, you're like, yeah, I want to kiss this girl.
I felt like he maybe was trying to get after something else too, though. Like maybe he was trying to woo her. Or it just seemed so out of the blue.
Oh no, I
Right.
purely thought it was like a sex drive thing.
Really?
I mean, yeah,
Like-
he was checking her out.
Yeah, this is like a man, and he like wants to get in some action.
Well, he got some. And I gotta say, she kissed him back.
Oh, yeah.
She
did.
kissed him back. She was confused at first and pulled away, but then she went in for it. Maybe it was just because it would be awkward to pull away, but I don't know. I think
see.
she did it. Okay, that pretty much covers the episode. Any final comments on it before we get to some predictions?
One last comment.
Yeah.
Mostly because I think this episode is
Yeah.
funny in that, like, there was the Paley Fest video that they had released, and a couple of the other, like, this season on The Flash videos all had, like, really crazy things happen. Like, they showed Eddie shooting the cops. They
Yeah.
had that kiss. They had a bunch of stuff that happened in this episode, and then you watch it and you find out all of it was a metahuman. And so every theory that the fans had, everything that people got really, really, like, weirded out about, you're like, haha, you have no idea what's going to happen this season.
You never know.
Yeah.
And when you
Great.
think you know, just like you guys, you thinking you know so much more than these characters. You don't know.
Speaking of the Everyman being a meta-human, the way that they've set the show up is that every villain has a like scientific reason and like ability.
Right.
They've like defined it with science. So this guy can massively or rapidly reproduce his cells, right, to look like somebody else.
Right, but not take on their characteristics.
Characteristics or powers in Barry's case. I know that that's like been the premise for everything, but I think they kind of got like not in trouble this episode, but like he could replicate cells, but like clothes didn't change.
Well, I
know?
think that he's kind of like Mystique from the X-Men in
Yeah.
that, like, the clothes that he made were actually still part of his cells.
Oh, okay. And I'm not trying to be like too picky. I'm just saying like
That's
No,
a
it's
little
valid.
nitpicky, but it's
yeah,
valid.
but just
Yeah.
like in a world where it's not like magic, for lack of a better word, like they have to explain it. Like
Science.
Yeah, I just wonder what would happen if they. It's like very modern nowadays, explain everything with science. I wonder what would happen if they didn't.
Yeah.
If they were just like, it's magic, it's unexplainable.
Interesting.
Be interesting, yeah.
Interesting. I wonder who else picked up on that and was thinking about that. And Tara, you answered all the questions about the clothes.
Drats.
So everybody out there, okay, let's get to some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, so just like you said, I don't know what is real and what isn't, because who knows, every man could break out of the place, and everything I thought that I saw in previews could actually be him in the future. But pretending that doesn't happen, here's what we got so far. We've got, I promise you, Barry Allen, you will die. Very intense thing to say.
Yeah.
Is he talking to him? Is he talking about him? Is he talking to Gideon? It seems like he's been outed, and it seems like people are not going to just pretend they don't know anymore, and they are confronting him. What do you guys think?
I think that it's almost too big of a secret to now keep going to work at Star Labs and acting like everything's fine.
One of them would spill something, probably Caitlin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
she just can't keep that inside.
Yeah,
I
and
get.
however, I think it's going to change the show drastically when this happens, because right now Harrison Wells, the big bad of the season, is working like on a daily basis with the Scooby Gang, with everybody, and you see them all together. We're not zooming away to like a distant mansion that's darkly lit, and he's like doing test molecules, and I like that. I think the show's been able to move at a faster pace because we're seeing one scene instead of two, and it just could have just changed things. And I'm hesitant for it, but like, I mean, they've done a great job so far. It's like optimistic.
Absolutely. What did you guys think about that one part we see that Joe shoots a gun and Barry moves alongside the bullet as if he's going to try to stop it? I was thinking, aren't Barry and Joe on the same team? Who could Joe be shooting at that Barry's trying to maybe get in the way of the bullet or something? Nobody else
no
interpret
idea.
that way? It just makes you question who's on what side and,
Right.
and what are we going to find out?
I mean, if I were to guess, I would say something to the effect of Joe shoots at, Wells, and then Wells puts someone that Barry cares about in front of the bullet. Speedsters can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And also the whole thing with frickin' Wells and Cisco, as he's trying to hurt Cisco again, I'm like, get off my man.
And again, that could have been just another flashback.
That's true.
Right.
It looked like a different set. Yeah, we really don't know. Or a bad nightmare or whatnot. We really
Right.
don't know. Those are our predictions for this week. Until next week, where we will be here at the same time, the same place. Until then, though, people who want to talk to you, which I'm sure is everybody, because you're both fabulous and amazing. Tari, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at TariJ. It's TaurijAY.
Are you sure not at Jeff Daniels?
It's at Jeff Daniels. That's Jeff Masters1 at Twitter. Hashtag Jeff Masters.
I'm just gonna let you. I'm gonna let you plug yourself for
And
a
actually
second.
from at Jeffrey Rush. I mean, Jeff Masters one.
And you guys can find Ashley at Ashley Daniels on Twitter and at Miss Ashley Daniels on Instagram. You guys can find me at Roxy Striar. And you can find us at AfterBuzz TV, AfterBuzzTV.com, YouTube.com/AfterBuzzTV. Thanks for commenting live in our chat roll and for tweeting at us live using the hashtag ABTVFlash. And on iTunes and on SoundCloud every single week, you guys are leaving the most amazing comments and giving us that 5 stars and thumbs up. We really appreciate it. We love you guys the absolute most, and we love the Flash, and we'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.